5, 16, 19, 21, 30, 3 and 10. Check results. You remember?
131. Sorry if I'm a bit Homelander-ish today. You know, giving off the vibes I could murder a room full of people in a split second. But Chelsea are currently, 3-0 down. They have been since the, 34th minute. And we're not going to win a game for the rest of the season. That's not even an exaggeration. Behind this smile is a murderous spirit. That's enough of my time I can dedicate to football at this point. It is truly the cancer in my life, which could, it could be worse. I could have, the cancer of my life could be cancer, which, I don't, it's not great though, if you I don't want to talk about it. It's 131, I think, who knows, pod a day, Dr. Y. And you know what's going to be therapeutic to me? I just want to talk about Marvel today. I just want to rank, going to go through all my, all the movies, not my movie, I didn't make them, unfortunately, the mine is really great, but all the MCU films, because Guardians of the Galaxy Volume 3 comes out tomorrow, and I think it's going to be awesome. I think it's going to be in my top tier, and so that's that. Okay, I've spoken about that a little bit briefly before, but that is that, and that is the case. So we're going to go through them all. I just realised I actually can't see them because this is in the way. So what's the best way to do this? Not great. Are we still here? Hopefully we're still here. Hopefully that's fine. If you even touch the software, it just lags out completely. So that's always the worry. But yeah, man, I'll find this therapeutic. Call me a nerd, call me a loser. It's fine. It's not lame to like Marvel at this point in the village, one of the most popular films in the world. But it's crazy that back in the day, probably even before I was kicking around, that's the type of thing you'd get bullied over in school. Bullying, the things kids do, to each other. It's so weird. It's a weird little like society kids make against each other in school. It's like, it's very weird, like the hierarchy and how things go. And it's like everyone just kind of grows up and decides, you know what, these aren't the values actually. Like when you're young, everyone is like a little like dictator. Everyone has like, no one shares. It's all for themselves. It's violence first. Chat shit. It's all these types of things. When they're young, everyone's a little a Putin, a little Hitler. Everyone's a little madman, tyrant. And there's some reason we just all grow it. We really do progress. We start off as the worst persons of ourselves, really. Some people were just not mean in school. They were sort of nice kids. But I just mean in general, like, how people always say, oh, kids can be so mean. And it's like, yeah, no filter. Walk up to a disabled person and literally be like, why don't you walk? Like, just say the most outlandish things. No filter at all. And I know they haven't learned the rules of the world yet, but it's just like, imagine you carried those, that same, like, imagine we just didn't have the thing in our brain where that was a switch and that just changed, Even on the lower end of things, you just see a guy in public wearing like a Captain America shirt, you're like, oi, loser, punk. What? Loser. You're a nerd. I'm better than you, nerd. Like Marvel, ill, gross. Loser. You're a loser, aren't you? Give me your lunch money. Excuse me, give me your lunch money. I'm a grown man. I don't have money designated for lunch. I have money. I'm not giving it to you. If you take it from me, that is a crime in this world. But you get head down the toilet. Okay, that's assault. The rules are just completely different. Race me if you're. Imagine how we get prime minister, how we get whatever elected, 100-meter dash. Grown men running like Naruto. Look, we grow out of those things. Probably for the best. I'm not sure though. People give kids a lot of credit in other senses. Sometimes they're so pure. They're so joyful. They see the world in such a pure way. It's just like, people can't decide. Do you think kids are mean? Do you think they're pure? People make up your mind. Probably a bit of both. Anyway, Marvel me. That's what I'm meant to be going on about. We got more here. I think I'm on like those tier list websites, and I think I put them ordered within the tier themselves, so this should be in exact order, although I'm not completely sure, but going through it right now, it looks pretty right. Actually, maybe some of these ones in the bottom tier could be changed around, but I'll do that in my head, because again, I don't want to get the software. Why am I being so acting like I'm doing fucking nanoscience or some shit? Last place, it's gonna be, I feel like it just has to be The Incredible Hulk, which is in my F tier, mainly because when I actually watch it, it's not that bad. The scene where Hulk kicks Edward Norton. No, it's not Edward Norton. He kicks the other guy, and he just like ragdolls into a tree. It's very satisfying. But I'd never watch it. It feels so pointless to watch because it feels like it's not even a part of everything else that's going on. It's a different actor. And for that reason, I just have no vested interest, really. And it's just mid, so it's lost. And then I'd probably go Thor. It'd be, Thor the Dark World. I know people give a lot of credit to Dark World, saying it's not that bad. Loki's Saving Light. But I just never watch it. I've never... No, sorry, is that the Dark World? That's the first one people say that about. Dark World, people unanimously say is dog shit. I'll put them both on a level peg, and I don't really care. That they can go next, and then it probably goes Iron Man 2 for me. I've made it clear multiple times in my life, maybe not to you, but just to anyone who'll listen. I don't like, what's his name? Rhodey, actor, Don Cheadle. His performance in this movie, not that his performance is bad, but it's what he's doing, what the character has to do. Especially off the back of Terrence Howard in the first movie, who I liked. Just made me hate Don Cheadle as an actor. I was like, I hate this guy. I hate this character. I was like 9, but still, I find him so annoying in that film. Don't like the film. I've always hated Iron Man 2. And then, surprise, surprise, in the F tier, Thor, Love and Thunder. Oh my god, it was so bad. And I'm pretty sure everyone thought it was bad as well, but then I was listening to like 2 separate podcasts, like, because I couldn't remember what their thoughts on the movie were, like, just to fall asleep to. And both of them, like, I stopped one because I thought, wait, these guys really liked it, actually. They thought it was pretty, they only had a few problems with it. And I put on another one saying, is this the same? And they actually kind of liked it as well. Like, they kind of like were saying it was really funny and stuff. And it's just like, wait, am I remembering this wrong? Did people like Thor or just think it was only a little bit bad? To me, it's like one of the worst Marvel movies, which is crazy. Yep, Chelsea still losing. In my D tier, there's only 2 films. And they go Ant-Man and the Wasp. What a snooze fest. What an absolute snoozer. Ant-Man, it's crazy. You gotta kind of find the balance. He is an ensemble piece. It's kind of crazy how like Ant-Man had 4 films and like Black Widow, it took him forever just to give her 1, and then by that point no one cared anyway. But it's crazy how Ant-Man got 4. Wait, does he actually? No, he has 3. It's Thor who has 4. Honestly, looking at the track record, he shouldn't have 4 either. But no, they get really, really wacky with the second one, and they're really, really dry and boring. No, they get really, really wacky in the third one, which I haven't even seen yet. It's on Disney Plus in like a couple of weeks. I'll watch it when it's on there, because I want to watch it alone, so I can cringe on my own in like a dark room with like a sheet over my head, because I'm embarrassed about it. It's shameful. Someone walks in, what are you doing? Laptop down. No, nothing. Porn. Spider-Man reference there. But yeah, hate. What? Thing is, I actually don't hate Ant-Man and the Wasp. I could probably watch it right now. I think this is okay. It's just boring, and I don't think I've seen it since it came out. And then above that, I got Doctor Strange Multiverse of Madness. Didn't like it. The cameos I actively just wish went in the film. It was good for No Way Home. Let's just stop it there. I thought they were pointless, and I just saw right through it. Didn't like the villain of Wanda. Thought it was goofy, silly, boring, breakneck speeds, not in a good way. Fell flat. Just little things as well, CGI. Not even CGI, but like kind of makeup. Like when Doctor Strange is like living dead. Doctor Strange's wig in general throughout the whole film just pisses me off. It looks so ridiculous. But yeah. Then we got C tier. I'm just going to go with the order I put down here, which goes from downwards upwards. Iron Man 3. I don't think it's that bad, as everyone says. Captain Marvel, which, although I don't like Captain Marvel the character, because she sort of just has no character. She kind of just is there to be like, oh, we need to get out of the situation. Bring Captain Marvel in, who has not been here the whole time. She'll just show up. She'll kind of say something snarky. And it's just like, I don't know. I think Captain Marvel would have been done a lot better if they kind of just did a Thor thing where she just takes things really serious and she's funny, not because she's trying to be or saying like wisecracky lines or trying to be charismatic, but she's just funny because she's like this fish out of water. The only problem is they've already done that with Thor, so they kind of had to not do that. But I think she would have been suited better to that. Then I'll go Eternals, which although was boring and I let down and I really wanted to like it, for like certain aspects in it alone, I just really appreciated. I'm gonna put it because I know a lot of people would have it like as one of their least favorite films. Oh yeah, I'm getting up because the dog is scratching to get out. And I've got to do that. I just opened the door, by the way, with my feet like an absolute ape. And I can say that because I'm not white. And I'm talking about myself. Anyway, yeah. Don't know why I said that. Anyway, yeah, I think certain qualities in Eternals, just like Barry Keoghan's character, I quite like. I really don't like, I can't remember his name, the Asian guy. Just he's there to be the comic relief, and sometimes Marvel's comic relief characters just end up being the most annoying. And his like little Asian butler boy, nope, no sir, did not, no. But just certain point, like when they're like being all like, it's all ethereal and they're like so royal and they're like floating down and stuff and they're like doing little ceremonies and things like that. Those are parts I quite liked. So yeah, Black Widow. Black Widow should die in Black Widow. The amount of falls she takes, she falls out of the goddamn sky. She falls off buildings. The end sequence is ridiculous. But you get some good characters in there. David Harbour's great. Florence Pugh's great. I think it's just mid. The first what are they called? The first, not phase. How do people split films up? First act. It's actually really good. From what I remember, I've not seen it since I was in the cinemas. I put Ant-Man above it. Just because I think what Ant-Man's doing, it does stronger than what Black Widow's doing. And what Ant-Man's doing is just trying to be a fun little comedy film. And I think it does that better. Above that, we got Age of Ultron and Shang-Chi. Age of Ultron is the worst Avengers film in my opinion. But there's still great moments. And there's still moments. It's a very YouTube clips moment. In the sense that it's a good film for going onto YouTube, looking at some of the best clips and being like, wow, it's actually a really good film. But then you watch it and like, not really. And then Shang-Chi, I think it was massively overrated. I think people liked it because it was fresh in the simple sense that, they had the whole Asian cast. And, you're given like to other people there. People are going to love that. It feels French? No, it feels Asian. It feels fresh. In a sense, just for that. But I think the actual storyline and all the beats and stuff that very paint by numbers. Didn't like Awkwafina killing the dragon thing at the end of the bow and arrow. For some reason, that irked me. But I'm happy Shang-Chi's around. I think he's a cool guy. He's a cool character. And the rings were kind of cool. So we'd be seeing to see when he pops back up. Moving into the B tier. We got Wakanda Forever. Then Iron Man. Then Captain America, the first one. Then Doctor Strange, the first one. Then Avengers, the first one. And then Far From Home, which might trigger a lot of people. Chelsea have scored. Well, it's 3-1. Great. I don't care. I secretly do, but not really. To explain them, I think Black Panther, Wakanda Forever, I enjoyed it when I walked out of the cinema. I watched videos on it. They kind of changed my opinion. Actually, I felt like that happened, but I did. And it did sort of not tarnish it a little, but I just kind of reflected on my own thoughts a little bit more and sat with it a bit longer. And I think it still is fairly good, but I think they lean heavily on a real life death for a lot of their in-story emotional moments, which I don't know if I think is problematic. I just think it's a bit lazy or cheap. Opinion. Iron Man's great. It's not a film I'd really want to rewatch. It's not a film that draws me to it. It's the first one, though. And again, the last act, not really into, but there's so many great moments in it. And I just think you have to have it at a certain level. And I have seen it a fair few amount of times. Because I was going to have it low, but I just thought... No, it started off the thing. It actually is really good, especially while knowing that they had nothing else. No, this was like putting out the roadmap type of thing, and it has a lot of good moments. Like if I was watching it for the first time, I'd watch it and be like, "Wow, this is a really good film." But that being said, I do like Captain America, the first one, more. I just like the ground. Because they're both kind of grounded. It's just the sense. I don't know. I just always preferred Captain America, I think, to Iron Man. That's probably why. I like the come up, man. I like the story. I like when he's out in the rain drawing pictures as himself, as a monkey riding a unicycle, doing war campaigns. That just stuff. I'm vlogging with it. I'm vlogging with it. Doctor Strange, the first one, is an incredibly underrated Marvel movie, and I just hate how the second one is just nothing like it. The first one was genuinely really good. It's when Doctor Strange is basically at his best for me. It's when his wig doesn't look over the top stupid like it does now, and I just think it's underrated. The visuals cool. It's a pretty simple story, yeah, sure. It's nothing crazy. But I mean, the ending's a little bit different. Dormammu came to bargain. But yeah, I like it. Avengers, again, it's a great moments thing. I don't always want to watch it, but I was sitting down just trying to think, what moments can you think going through? I thought, oh, that's a good moment. Oh, that's a good moment. Oh, that's a good moment. Oh, that's quite a good moment. And yeah, it's a bit goofy. He really is the Star-Spangled Man in this one with that bright comic book accurate suit. But look, there's so many great points in it, and it's the first Avengers movie. You got to remember the hype. Far From Home is a bit of a controversial one because I know a lot of people either love it or hate it. It's very Marmite, but I'm mid on it. Clearly, I've got it top of B, and I like Spider-Man as the character. I like Mr. T. Holland, and it's probably got some bias there. There's some really cool things about it, some really lame things about it. I think as a whole, you watch it, you think it's just a bit flat, maybe a bit stale, a bit. And I'm talking about in terms of just visually, not like storyline, but just like you go through like the Guardians world, you go through other worlds, you think there's something dark and gritty about this, there's something bright and bombastic about this, and I do. John Watts, that's his name. I was trying to remember that yesterday. Sometimes he has really flat looking films. Occasionally there'll be really well shot sections in it, but you just wish they were more consistent throughout. Going up into the A tier, we got the first Black Panther, then we have, and this is going up, remember, then Thor Ragnarok, then Winter Soldier, the first Guardians, the second Guardians, I know I prefer the second Guardians more, and then Endgame. I spoke about these ones quite a bit yesterday, but just on Ragnarok, and again, Black Panther is not a film I really feel like rewatching, but when I did watch it, I really liked it. Ragnarok's an easy watch. Winter Soldier's just goddamn cool, and I don't think there'll be a film made again that has the same tone as like Winter Soldier. I just don't think they'll do it. Even though people like love it and say it's like one of their favorites, they'll just never be able to stop themselves having all these jokes and certain things in it. And you just won't have a scenario where you have a story with a villain that is whatever the level. Who is the villain in Winter Soldier? It's just like him and Bucky going against each other in it, and then there's like the underlying tones of Hydra, and then. But how does it end? God, I should maybe rewatch it. I don't even remember. I think that's the point. The villain isn't some huge crazy thing. It's just very street level, and they'll have tones of that, I think, in future projects, but it will never be like as similar. And then my top S tier, going upwards in fourth, we got No Way Home. I'm still off that buzz. Still think it's great. Then we got Homecoming, which for whatever reason just hit me in this certain spot, if you know what I mean. That sounded weird. Just always loved it. Civil War, it's like an Avengers film. It introduced Spider-Man. It's just great. It's got great moments. It's just quality. And the number one, we have Infinity War. You can't deny it. It's so good. When I sat down in that even first scene of Loki and the fucking stone and Thanos, I remember just sitting there being like, oh my god, this is a cinematic experience. And there's so much of the film still left. And eventually it's going to end. And I don't want it to, because then I'll never get to see it again for the first time. And then it did end. And I was like, oh my gosh, man, I got to see it again. I just really liked it. And yeah, it's crazy. It's bloody mental films, aren't they? Bloody cinema. Bloody Marvel. Bloody great. We have an interesting relationship, a love-hate relationship. But maybe they could get me back on board with Volume 3. I think they will. And they're going to want to, because after that, oh my god, it ain't looking great. If the Fantastic Four casting they get right, maybe, but like some of these films they got coming up, don't give a fuck. So like this might be the last little hurrah for me, but yeah, I hope it's a good one. This was 131, see you in 132.
With the kids, and I've got 3 kids, and the geezer was probably on like maximum 20 bags a year. Like the most boring bloke you'll ever meet. Like,